Today, we're going to go through how to add a new listing in CCIMLS. So once you get onto CCIMLS, you're going to go ahead and click on Menu and then Add Listing, which is under the Add/Change column. Once you go to Add Listing, essentially what we're going to do is go through all of these tabs, and I'm going to show you how to upload photos, any documents you have, floor plans, videos, virtual tours, and eventually how to add the listing as well. So the first thing we have to select is the property type. Now this is very important because once you select it and start entering fields, if you go back and change that property type, it's going to wipe out any of the information you have added in any of these other tabs. If you do already have a fully executed offer on the property, make sure to enter it as a comparable sale. Otherwise, choose one of the other property type options. Next to listing number, it should already have your name. This is just our test account, so I'm just going to type in test here. There we go. All right, and then we're going to move on to our address tab. Now you can either click on address or you can click on the next button down at the bottom right. What we're going to do when adding the address, we want to auto pop the address, which means that we're pulling in information directly from the field card and we're linking it to that field card. I like to say less is more. So what I usually do is enter in the street number, street name, county, and then you can also enter town, but you don't have to populate the tax data. And once you do that, you're going to go ahead and just click on populate tax data. You'll notice that those other fields that I didn't fill in, such as street suffix, village, zip code, tax ID, those filled in for me. And that's because it pulled in directly from that field card. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and move on to main fields. And before we move on, we are asked to verify the location of the property on the map. Now, if it doesn't land on the right spot, which does happen, you can either click on the red pushpin and drag it, or you can click on the map and drag the red pushpin and the map at the same time. It's very important that you get this red pushpin in the correct spot because it does determine some of the fields, which we'll go over in just a second here. So make sure it's on the property, it's in the correct spot, and once it is, you're going to go ahead and click on Use this location. All right, so now we're on the main fields tab. We're going to go through it and enter in at least all of the required fields. All the required fields are in red, while the unrequired fields are in black. Now, it is as it sounds. You have to enter all the fields that are in red, and you can, but don't have to enter in information the fields that are in black. So I'm just going to go through what I'm selecting here is extremely random. I'm just going to go through some of the fields, but we're going to end up adding this listing. So I need to be able to add all of the required fields so that we can add this listing. I do want to point out status here. So you have the option to choose between active or coming soon. If you do choose active, once you click on add listing, your listing will be active as far as the list date. If you do choose coming soon, your listing will be added as a coming soon no showings listing as on the list date. So a lot of people do kind of confuse these dates. So the list date for both active and coming soon listings should be the date that you want your listing to appear on the MLS and available to other members, whether that be the active status or the coming soon status. So if I want my listing to be active or coming soon today, I'm putting a list date of today. And actually, I'm going to put a list date of next week, just so it doesn't hit the MLS because this is my test listing. And you can put a future list date. Just note that your listing won't be available until the date that you choose. I like to advise people to leave the list date blank until you're ready to add listing. Because let's say you're working on this listing today, you put today's date and you go in tomorrow and actually you haven't added it yet. Some people add it with a previous list date, and you really want your list date to be the day that you want it to be available. For coming soon listings, the start showing date is the day you want your listing to automatically switch from active to coming soon. Now, there is no restrictions, just that the start showing date should be before your expiration date. All right, I'm going to leave some fields blank because I want to show you if you go to add the listing, what happens if you have a blank on a required field available. All right, and anything that you enter should be accurate. You'll notice that these taxes are already filled out. That's because it pulled in directly from the field card. If you notice, hey, that maybe not be right, you can go ahead and change that information if you want to. I want to point out also this flood insurance required field. You'll notice it's already filled out, and there's not an option to switch it. That's going back to what I said about the map location of your property when you verify that use this location spot. The flood insurance required is based off of the FEMA flood zone field. The FEMA flood zone field is based off of where you put that red push pin. So if you put that red push pin on the property and the property's in a flood zone, it will show that as the FEMA flood zone and it will show yes, verify with insurance agent here. If you put the red push pin in on the property and it's not in a flood zone, this will say no because the FEMA flood zone says it's not in a flood zone. So sometimes some properties have a split. Part of it's in, part of it's out of a flood zone. So if this isn't reading the correct thing, reach out to the MLS office and we can help you move that pin around on the property. All right, so I'm just going through here just to make sure so we can add this listing. Some of the fields you'll notice if you select yes, that new fields will pop up. Sometimes these new fields are required, so more required fields may pop up, but more may not. But it just means that it's more information based on what you had just selected. Next, we're coming down to the field card square footage. You'll notice that you're not able to adjust this field card square footage. That's the only field that you can't make adjustments to when pulling directly from the field card. If your property has more square footage than what's listed here, you can add the additional square footage to this additional finished space section. So let's say there's an additional 500 square footage or square feet. These two fields will then add together and show as the total finished space, which can be found on detail reports. Now, if for some reason you didn't populate the tax data, or this is a new construction property, or it doesn't have a field card yet, you're not able to fill out the field card square footage, you would put all of the square footage of the property in the additional finished space. And if for some reason the field card square footage is too much, like let's say it's 7,000, and you come in and say, actually, it's 5,000, reach out to the MLS office and we can help you out with that. All right, just coming down here, private pool and private dock are private to a single property. So if it's an association or a neighborhood pool or dock, you should not be selecting yes in these fields. There's a appropriate association in neighborhood sections that have the ability to select pool or dock in the detail fields. Again, some of this information has been brought in from the field card. You're welcome to change it if you know it's different. Just coming in here and entering all this information at random so we can add our listing. All right, so now we're going to get to the remarks section. So here you can add a link to offer platform. So if you have an offer platform that you want to use, you could put that link directly in here. And then we have the public remarks. You can type in the description and condition of the property in this section. You do have 1,200 available characters for this section, but if you need to go over, you can click on this More button and add supplement remarks. Once you add the supplement remarks, just make sure to click on Save. And then on detail reports, you'll see the public remarks and then a More button. When you click on that More button, you'll see those supplement remarks. Private remarks are only available to those who are members of Cape Cod and Islands MLS, so this should be information directed towards the other agents. Directions of the property is a required field, so we do require that you put in actual directions to the property and not just GPS or the address of the property. And then if you have any showing instructions, you can put that in showing instructions. Maybe you're not showing until the open house, that can go in there, or just anything you have in regards to showings. All right, so I finished on my main fields. I'm going to go ahead and click on details. Now, details has a lot of unrequired fields, which you are welcome to fill out. But if maybe you're just looking to just fill out these required fields and want to narrow the list down a little bit, you can come up to this top right here and change all fields to required fields only. You also have the ability to select empty required fields only. So if you had already filled out a couple of these and then clicked on empty required fields only, you'll notice those two that I filled out went away. So I'm just going to come through here. I don't really have anything to point out as far as this information, except for the fact that some of these have a maximum of how many options you can select. So just note that when you're making your selections. And then down at the very bottom here, we have that you own the photos. Just make sure you come over if there's any drop down items on something that you've checked off. You do have to select that drop down of yes in order to add it. You can also come here and upload the primary image, but I'm going to show you another way of how to upload all the photos at once. And I just want to point out this broker distribution section as well. So if your seller has directed you to exclude this listing from the internet, meaning they just want it available in the MLS, they don't want it sent out to other brokerage sites or publisher sites, you can go ahead and check off seller directs listing to be excluded from the internet. You also have the ability to check off that you don't want it to go to realtor.com or ListHub or boston.com because those are our publisher sites. If you see it grayed out, like my realtor.com is grayed out, that's because at a brokerage level, your brokerage doesn't want you to be able to not send it to realtor.com. So they have opted to send all their listings to realtor.com no matter what, unless you choose seller directs listing to be excluded from the internet, then it would not go to that place. You also have other options here that you're able to select to exclude from, but just note that. And then now I'm almost done, but maybe I'm not ready. You can come up here to click on Save Incomplete Listing. Once you click on Save Incomplete Listing, it will be in your incomplete listings until you remove it or until you add the listing to the MLS. So it won't go away after a period of time. To do that, if you come back the next day, you want to find it, you would just go to Menu and then My Incomplete. You would locate that listing, which of course I've done a lot of test listings here. There we go. You could see when you last edited it, if in case you had a lot of addresses of the same that you were working off. And you can go ahead and click on Edit. And I'm going to show you this media section as well. So if you click on Photos, you can upload the photos for your listing. All you're going to do is click on Add Photos at the top right. It will bring you to your computer files. And you can go ahead and locate your photos, highlight the ones you want to upload so you don't have to do it one at a time. You can do all of them and just click on Open. Once they're on their screen, that's it. They've been added. You don't have an additional add button. If you want to change the primary image, which the primary image is the first image of your property, and it has this blue box around it, you would just click on the flag of another picture and it will change it to the primary image. You can also reorder these by clicking on the top middle and dragging the photo, or doing this drop down and changing the photo order. If you wanted to delete a photo, you can do so by clicking on the trash can in the bottom right. You can also adjust the name of the photo, and there's a caption as well. If you wanted to, you can mark your photos as private, all except the primary image that has to remain public. By marking them private, they stay within the MLS, so they're not sent out to brokerage or publisher websites. If you do this mark private while off market, when your listing is switched from active to an off market status, which would be temp off market, any of the pending statuses, or closed, your listing would update these photos, all but the primary image, to private, which means that they would no longer be sent out in those data feeds. All right, if you want to go back to your incomplete listing page, you can click on Return to edit your listing. And you also have the options of adding floor plans. This is new as of this month. You can add your floor plans to this section. You would just click on floor plans and click on add floor plans and upload them to this section. If you have any documents to upload, you would upload them here. If you're the only required document upon entering a listing is the lead paint disclosure, as long as you have a residential or multifamily that was built prior to 1978. So my property was built after 1978, which is why I have no required documents to add this listing. But if I want to add any documents, I could do that here. And then finally, we have the videos and virtual tour section. The difference between a video and a virtual tour is basically the format that it's in. So a video would be an embed code, whereas a virtual tour would be a URL or a link. And just a reminder that documents, photos, and virtual tours and videos should not contain any branding. They should be unbranded. And just like photos, your videos and virtual tours can be marked as private or private while off market as well. Great. So now we're ready to add our listing. So if you come back to your change incomplete listing page, you're going to click on listing information. And then you're ready to go. You're just going to simply click on add listing. So right now it's telling me I have an error. That's because I didn't complete I have one error. I didn't complete a required field. So once I press on OK, it's going to bring me directly to that required field to fill out. Once I do that, I'm simply just going to click on add listing again. And as you can see, my listing has been added. It's been assigned an MLS number, and it has given me the date that it will appear in searches, which is the list date that I had chosen. Now you can either click on finish and return home, and that's it. You finish, you've entered your listing, or you can do a couple other things if you want to. You can click on this button to add it to an MLS tour, or you can view and print the report. You can also go to change the listing. Maybe you want to add an open house or a broker open house. You can also clone the listing. Maybe you added it as residential, but it can only also be sold as a multifamily. You can copy it to the multifamily property type and add it as a multifamily. Just note if you do that, you can post in different property types for the same property, but it shouldn't be misleading. And when you get to the closing, you can't close both of the listings, so make sure to reach out to the MLS office when you get to that point. And then you can also simply begin entering another listing. What I'm going to do here is go to the change listing screen because I'm going to point out the open house section, broker open house, and MLS tours. So if you want to add an open house, you would add it here, add a broker open house, or add an MLS tour. Just note if you do add your listing as coming soon, you can't add an open house, broker open house, or MLS tour until at least the start showing date. You can add it to the listing while it's in the status of coming soon, but the open house date, broker open house date, or MLS tour date has to be at least the start showing date or on when the listing switches to active, since there's no showings in that status. And this is the page you would come to. You can find it by going to menu and change listing. This is the page you would come to if you have any status updates as well, and you would come down to the status section. So that is how you would add a listing in Cape Cod and Islands MLS. Should you have any questions, please reach out to the MLS office. We could be reached at mlssupport@ccIAOR.com. Thank you.